Russia-Ukraine war or conflict. I will start with the French president, Emmanuel Macron, visits to the Vatican. When he visited the Pope, when he was at the Vatican, he was reported to have requested the Vatican to mediate between the warring factions. But what seems to baffle me is that rather than to make reference to Ukraine, he asked or requested that the mediation should be between United States and Russia. United States and Russia. Okay. United States and Russia. I deliberately repeat that just to draw your attention to the fact that even the French president accepts the fact that Ukraine is not truly sovereign. The only country that may be able to put an end to the conflict is, or I wouldn't say the only country that may be able to influence Ukraine to negotiate and go back to the negotiating table is the United States, which clearly confirms what many have been saying, that the war itself is between NATO, led by the United States, and Russia. All right, there we are. At least that's been confirmed. And I've also noticed anyway that the French government and the people at large in France, the anti-Russian feeling or the support for Ukraine is not as strong in France as you could say maybe in some other European countries. Bearing in mind that in the last 2 weeks or so, we've had a lot of protests and demonstration in France against continued support for Ukraine. And also, the French president, anyway, does not control his country's parliament. So he cannot just decide, even though he might want to be, because Macron, as we all know, is a big supporter of the European Union, WEF, and is a globalist, which I got nothing against. Okay, let's move on to Twitter statement by and YouTube video by a Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Ben Porat. This rabbi is reported to be a specialist in Jewish history and the Holocaust. He made in his video, he stated that Zelensky is responsible for the war, that he caused the war by his actions, and that his actions has increased NSI within Ukraine and certainly within Europe. Basically, is giving them a focus or a breeding ground in Europe. And that since he's coming to power in Ukraine, there's been an increase in fascism, fascism. No, sorry, my pronunciation, my accent. And this, in my opinion, tend to lean some way to the quite popular ground. Maybe not the most. I'm not sure if it's the most popular, but from Telegram channels and some Twitter feeds, the state of Israel, even though has not openly condemned or made a statement on whether there is NAZI or not in Ukraine, due to the fact that America is involved and they wouldn't want to offend their American um, security backers, is one of the reasons why Israel has been quite reluctant in giving military support to Ukraine. Obviously, there is also the issue of the fear that interference may lead to them having to go into conflict with Russia in other battlefields, such as Syria. And it is surprising that very little mainstream media made reference to this comment by this leading Jewish scholar. And also, if this had been, if the statement was made by somebody who is not Jewish, most likely it would have been the platform, probably sacked from his job, loss of business, even probably have the bank account closed, and condemned as being Putin's Putin's guy or Putin's supporter. Because as we all know, anyone that's now have a contrary view to the mainstream ideology or idea or belief that is being pushed will be condemned as being anti anti Ukraine. Now, I think we might go again to the recent um, publication by Washington Post. According to the recent publication by Washington Post, seems to be an increased um, panic or worried and concerns by European allies in the war against Russia or those supporting Ukraine, simply because the House Minority Leader in the United States made a statement that Ukraine should not expect a blank check from the United States. And according to opinion polls and going by trends anyway, the opposition party tend to win a lot of seats during the midterm elections coming up in about 2-3 weeks time, or maybe less. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, November 20 this year. And this also seems to be putting a lot of pressure or worry on the Ukrainian side, and that explains the reasons why they are trying to go on the offensive against Russia to encourage their European backers and the United States to continue the support. In fact, as far as I could I know, or recently, again, we've been told that Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, will be spending most of his time in the United States. And I suspect one of the reasons why he felt he needs to be in the US is to be able to lobby the politicians there to continue their support for Ukraine, because he has nail his mast. He has committed himself to the Ukraine conflict, either as a prime minister or as an MP. So it must continue. Okay, my friends, I think we're gonna leave it there, and now we'll be back again in the next few days, or maybe even today. Take care. Oh, by the way, please, if you've not subscribed, you need to subscribe, my friends. It is free, it costs you nothing, and don't forget to press the like button. Thank you.